Hey guys, and welcome to a battle featuring the Hollow Slayer and the forces of Norsca up against Sergeant Spaghetti of Sons of the Mountain, playing the Dawi, which certainly makes kind of good sense with his clan name right there. Both these guys I've played up against before, two super cool dudes, so it should be a good fun battle. So for the forces of Hollow Slayer here and the Norscans in the front line, we have Marauder Berserkers mixing with basic Marauders, as well as some with great weapons for that added armor piercing up against the Dawi forces. Going to be very interesting to see how this front line does perform. This is a matchup I do not enjoy playing myself as the Norscan, so I'm going to be trying to take some pointers if this does indeed go well. We have the Shaman Sorcerer of Metal down here on a chariot, coming in with Plague of Rust. Always good to lower the armor of the Dawi. We have a Feral Mammoth, as well as a Wulfric the Wanderer on a Mighty Mammoth, who I believe is going to be called Billy from now on. If I remember correctly from my previous video, that's what you guys wanted him to be called. And he's simply going to be bringing Seafan. Now, you may think, why bring gigantic, terrifying monsters against the forces of the Dawi, who have considerable amount of firepower, but they can push through with their mass into the back line and do some fantastic disruption. We have a Feral Manticore up in the skies as well for that very reason. On the right hand flank we have Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, as well as some Warhounds hidden in deep vanguard. Now for the forces of the Dawi here, a lovely onion formation right here, with a box formation. And in the front lines, he does have some Dwarf Warriors, gone relatively cheap and cheerful, dotted all the way along, going for sheer numbers here, which can certainly do a decent job. We have Miners with Blasting Charges, as well as some great weaponed Dwarf Warriors in the back line. Blasting Charges are going to do huge damage to the very naked Marauders if they do manage to get all those charges off there. Now in the centre of the Dawi box we do have two cannons going to be trying to do the heavy lifting up against those mammoths, as well as double rangers with great weapons and the Dragonback Slayers for a little bit of protection, protecting all these ranged troops. We do have Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes, one of my favourite units in the Dwarf roster. These guys are going to be triple bronze chevron as well. They will decimate a mammoth if they are allowed to stand and shoot. We also have more Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, so overall really kind of numerous dwarf build here. We have a couple of key units as well, like Gotrek and Belagar here. Belagar bringing his Oathstone, which is always pretty damn epic. So without further ado, let's get this battle underway. The cannons are singing here, sending some cannonballs flying through the air. Looks like they're trying to focus down that Shaman Sorcerer of Fire, which isn't a bad idea. They've clearly forced him back, but now Wulfric is taking some of those hits to the face. So a very disgruntled mammoth snarl there in retaliation. However, cannons aren't the most accurate of fellas. I suppose the Dwarf ones are a bit better than the Empire ones, so they do have to struggle to miss or struggle to hit sometimes up against even the large threats. And we're going to see a nice surround, it looks like, as we do have Marauder Horsemen wrapping around that flank, as well as the Hounds. But for the most part, his front line is just going to try and chew through the Dwarf Warriors as quickly as possible. Glorious cannon fire here. These engineers certainly had their breakfast this morning, hammering down at the Shaman Sorcerer, down to about half health straight out of the gate. Now, one problem Dwarfs, of course, do have is following up on a lot of their early damage, as this Shaman Sorcerer now can just simply escape. Iron Drake Trihammer Torpedoes unleash a salvo onto the Feral Mammoth, doing some really decent work, and it can rampage pretty easily. So putting damage on him and getting him into the wrong targets can do good. Rangers with weapons are thrown into the front lines, but in comes the Feral Mammoth, going for that alpha strike on top of the Iron Drake Trollhammer Torpedoes. But the Dragonback Slayers have emerged to hunt down those Manticores. Glorious Boat does go down, wrecking a unit of Rangers. And it looks like the forces of the Norscans are trying to chew through this front line, but the Dwarf Warriors standing relatively firm. Gotrek is going to be hacking at the heels of Wulfric, and he can do a disgusting amount of damage to someone like Wulfric. His problem, of course, is he's a dwarf, he's relatively slow, and it's hard to catch a gigantic mammoth. Good pressure by the Norscan Warhounds in the back line here. Did manage to swarm on top of this cannon. Looks like they're going to be able to set it down as well and force it away before the Dwarf Warriors with great weapons are able here to counter-strike. And this has been a great kind of bunker buster build so far by the Norscans. However, they've taken huge losses as well. Feral Manticore running for the hills, and Marauder Horsemen as well getting kind of a little bit too caught up on the front line. But throwing axes in it to drag back Slays is certainly a good idea, as they have surrounded that Feral Mammoth, who's almost certainly going to get dragged down now by a combination of the Iron Drakes as well as the Dragonback Slays. Rangers have returned to the field, and with their great weapons, they can do some really decent damage. You can see Wulfric is being pounded slightly. Gotrek is a very unhappy Slayer these days, and he's going to be trying to hunt him down. Royal Horsemen have forced their way into combat into the back line, though. A rather desperate charge to shut down the centre pocket of Dwarfs. As for the front line, Berserkers are an interesting choice here. I'm not sure how I feel about them, but they're racking up the kills pretty effectively. They have lost a lot of HP damage themselves. Looks like the Shaman Sorcerer as well as the Ferromanticore are going to be returned to the field after taking a significant amount of damage. In the back line, Rangers with great weapons are going to be getting cleared up here. Good diligent play coming in by the Norscans, as you expect from someone of a Hollow Slayer's ability. Moving the Warhounds and the Shaman Sorcerer into the back to hunt down these units. And I hear another boat coming down, wrecking the Dragonback Slayers, doing some really good work, all told, I suppose, in the centre pocket. However, the Norscans are starting to suffer quite badly in the front line. A lot of their units are getting incredibly beat up, and they're going to end up relying on the Mammoth and Wulfric, I feel, here in the late game. So it is pivotal he shuts down the Iron Drake Trollhammer torpedoes as well as these Dragonback Slayers as quickly as possible. Miners with Blast and Charges still have one volley left. They want to be thrown that into these Berserkers, or Marauders with weapons in the front line. Shaman Sorcerer has been forced back here as Gotrek destroys this Ferromanticore in glorious hand-to-hand combat. Well, it looks like the Manticore may be darted out of here before his fate can fully be sealed. But it looks like the Norscans are in mass rout now. As you can see, pretty much all of the infantry is gone for the hills. Shaman Sorcerer as well, down to 172 health, may possibly return. But it's not looking particularly great for the Norscans at the moment. Iron Drakes are just about still functional in the centre pocket here. Still 13 models, which is some good stuff. They will still have decent damage output despite their low health, and now firing some shots into Wulfric as well as Gotrek charging in there is certainly going to be some good value. Marauder Horsemen going there, throwing axes in though, trying to do some decent damage, and we do indeed have a fireball coming down from somewhere. We have two sorcerers, I don't know how I missed that. We also have a sorcerer of fire coming in with a fireball. Do they both have Scroll of Shielding? No, just a lot. So the Ferromanticore does dart once again into the Iron Drakes, who have managed to get up a chevron to silver chevron. Ferromanticore is going to be going down here, but in comes the Shaman Sorcerer on that Chariot. Chariot's so good up against the Dwarfs, pushing through with that mass, running over the heavily armoured troops. But it looks like it's a little bit pinned in here, which is pretty scary stuff. And Gotrek does, I think, not get his healing proc there, which is pretty disastrous for him, unfortunately. If he'd got that healing proc, I think this would be all over. But without that, there's still a chance, as Seafang does rack down the lines of the Dwarfs there. And a bit of a Norscan rally here as a load of the Marauders are coming back to the main fight. Feral Mammoth as well is holding pretty strong. Shaman Sorcerer at fire is just chilling for the most part. Throwing another fireball in, getting really good damage actually there, showing that the fireball can be pretty effective even up against infantry. And all of a sudden, a battle which seemed certain for the Dawi to win has flipped completely on its head with big burst damage coming in. A lot of the forces of the Dawi are running for the hills. Gotrek going down and not getting that healing proc has been pivotal. Imagine a pretty much full health Gotrek now running around the field. He'd easily be able to solo Wulfric and do decent damage to the Mammoth and all these other troops. I feel like the Norscans might be able to scrap this one out now. Good diligent play once again. Marauder Horsemen hunting down broken troops or routing troops, forcing them to shatter here. Same, getting good value from this incredibly beat up Shaman Sorcerer, up to 142 kills. Chariot's very impressive in this matchup. And it looks like the Horsemen are going to force off the last of these Iron Drake Troll Hammer torpedoes as well. We are just down to 3 models. But still, Silver Chevron did some good work. Now in the centre pocket, Belagar is not going down without a fight. He's a stubborn Dawi indeed. And the Dragonback Slayer's going to be in there here as well, doing some pretty damn cool attack animations. And they have managed to break the Feral Mammoth and force him back. Balance of power is dead even still. And there is no Hunter of Champions on Wulfric, so if these Dragonback Slayers, all 30 of them, can surround him with the help of Belagar, perhaps this battle can still be won from the Dwarfs. It is such a scrappy game at this point, with units kind of breaking and fleeing in all directions. Shaman Sorcerer has now managed to shatter a few more. Miners desperately trying to run back to the main fight before they kind of get picked on by some of these outskirt units. You see the Feral Mammoth here, up to 99 kills, doing a decent job all round, is going to be avoiding the main bunch of Dawi forces, using the extra pace such a mighty beast has, those long striding legs, and going to be moving towards some more of the units on the outskirts of the battlefield to try and clean them up. Miners with Blast and Charges did just take a fireball, and a very pesky Shaman Sorcerer is going to be coming into their flank, which these guys are certainly not going to be having a good time about. And it looks like the miners are unfortunately going to get run over there and squished between a feral mammoth, so not a good day for them at all. And the last bastion of strength here is the Dragonback Slayers and Belegar, of course, but they simply do not have the pace to, hunt down these units. And that's kind of the problem with Dwarfs, I find, is they have nothing for kind of map control, if that makes sense in any way. No real kind of abilities apart from Rune of Wrath and Ruin to slow down enemies. It's kind of hard to catch them. And this kind of end of this battle is kind of how it often goes for them, unfortunately. Still a very good faction all round, in my opinion, but could do with a little bit of love, perhaps, in the future. Dragonback Slayers have had the mighty Oathstone popped on them, so they are going to be coming in with a glorious expert charge defense. Plus 24 melee defense is certainly no joke. It's a very expensive ability by Belegar, but very powerful, and it has allowed them to endure so far. Feral Manticore isn't taking a huge amount of damage here. If he does rampage, it's going to be a bit disastrous. Berserkers, fantastic pick to take down Slayers, because they can't just chew for each other very quickly. These guys are wavering here. We do have more hounds popping in as well, but Feral Mammoth once again routing from the field, and a load of the Norscan forces are just gone and routing at this point. This is such a crazy close game. It's kind of gone back and forth multiple times. Fireball just skims a couple of these dwarf warriors who are rallying to Belegar. To the king, they cry as they're kind of charging forward, desperately trying to protect their lord here, as Wulfric's just kind of stomping around, doing his best, as the Norscan Warhounds are forced off here. The Dragonback Slayers down to just 2 models, which is quite unfortunate for the Dwarfs, as they're the best answer they have to Wulfric here. Shaman Sorcerer is wavering simply by being so close to so many proud Dawi forces. Balance power, though, is now heavily in favour of the Norscans, as Belegar stands alone. It's not quite a one-on-one. We do have a Shaman Sorcerer throwing in fireballs and cackling, and a few Dwarfs as well, just kind of rallying on in the distance. There's still some horsemen as well, but it's basically, thematic reasons, it's come down to Belegar versus Wulfric. Although Wulfric is going to come over here, stomp some dwarf warriors first. Belegar desperately trying to chase down at this Shaman Sorcerer of Fire, but I don't think he's going to quite have the legs on him. He's obviously much better at short distance sprinting rather than all this kind of long distant cross country. The Mammoth is going to retire off the field here, back to its home where it once came. It's probably not very used to surviving in the desert with that thick kind of fur. And it's literally just come down to how many units on each side. 116 versus 17, as Wulfric once again charges into Belegar, who pops the mighty Oathstone here, and is going to be standing and swinging his mighty hammer at Wulfric, trying to take on the beast. And he's not doing a bad job at all. Both the guys on about 2,000 HP. It looks like Belegar is slightly getting the upper hand here, but a big slap comes down and absolutely hammers Belegar, knocking 300 health off him. This is incredibly close. If it wasn't for all the other elements coming in, perhaps with some lucky RNG, Belegar might be able to withstand this. Oh, does take a big slap blow there and gets thrown to the ground. 1,500 health for himself, and Warhounds are now coming in as well to get that surround. With all the negative bonuses coming down on Belegar right now, I think the brave Dawi is probably going to have to retire and try again in the future. But saying that, Norscan forces once again all start to waver around the mighty dwarf, perhaps scared of that impressive hammer, shield and beard combo. Wulfric, though, isn't really taking any damage now. 1,400 health. The early luck of Belegar ran out there, and it's going to be a Pyrrhic victory for the Norscans. What an awesome game there. Really good, fun stuff overall. Massive shout out to both of these players, all the guys of Sons of the Mountains. Super cool competitors. We've actually had a clan war against them before, and I think it was very close. I think they just about managed to win it. It was really good stuff, but you can go find that on Raptor's Twitch, I believe. And very well played to Hollow Slayer as well. Massive shout out to him as well for sending this in via my Discord. And yeah, he's also known as kind of Von Carstein as well, for those who didn't know before. I believe it's Von Carstein. I feel that's who Hollow Slayer was, but however it is, very good, well play and a good chap all round. So no MVPs here. Wulfric 149 kills, and that Chariot 212 on the Fire Sorcerer really paid their weight in gold. Managed to punch through that Dawi formation, disrupt the back line, but not before they took a considerable amount of damage, but just about enough. They managed to scrap out the win. Although this whole battle, I feel, hinged on Gotrek not getting that healing buff, which I believe happens 50% of the time. His health kind of gives a massive boost, and I think, considering how beat up the forces of the Norscans were at the end, just 1 or 2 more hits from Gotrek on top of Wulfric, on top of a chariot, could have really made a huge difference in the end there. So a very tight, closely fought game. And guys, I hope you did enjoy. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content. We are running a tournament today, so there will be a live stream today, as well as a live stream tomorrow to say thank you to everyone who has supported me so far. We're going to be doing some giveaways, there's going to be prizes, it's going to be really good fun all round. So hope to see you guys for them. We do have a new YouTube logo, so don't worry, it is still me. I don't want people to get confused. A few people were confused on my Discord, like, where's the Discord gone? But it's the same. It's just I thought we had quite a cool new little logo designed by my friend whose Instagram I will be linking in tomorrow's stream, because she has designed some of the prizes for you guys. Anyway, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.